welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about become a certified medical coder within 1 year with self-study. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so if you are considering getting into medical coding and you say, well, these schools are really expensive, I don't know if I can afford it. Fear not, my people, fear not. When it comes to medical coding, there are two major medical coding associations, the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders. Both of these organizations offer medical coding certifications that are widely accepted and widely respected in the industry, and they do not require you to go through a formal program. Okay, so with that said, I have for many years, I have this video out that is the Independent Study. I'm going to be going over it and we're going to be talking about the cost of some of these books. So that way you can have this information and do with it what you will. Okay, learning medical coding does not require a lot of money, believe it or not. Okay. As you stay in it, obviously, in order to get your certification and maintain your certification, that's something completely different on another video for another time. But this episode, I want to really talk to the people that are thinking it's the beginning of the year and I really need to do something different with my life. Maybe you've retired and you say, I'm not ready to be full-time retired yet. I want to do something else and work my brain. This is a good option. If you are a senior or a junior in high school and you're thinking about the future and thinking that you don't really want to go to college right now just yet, but you do want to start in a good career, well, studying medical coding on your own is something that you can do, and it can be something that you can sit for your certification after you graduate, and then you could be on your way to finding your first job. So this is a wonderful career to get into, and the opportunities and the benefits of it is a lot. And think about this. If you are just out of high school and you get into medical coding and you say, well, I want to put off college for a couple of years, your employer, if you get involved with a really good organization, they may have tuition reimbursement, which means you can completely avoid getting into heavy student loan debt. Okay, and for my young people too, I want to say this also before I get into all of this. A lot of times people feel like they have to be pushed to go to college. And I've always said, yes, college is it's a very important thing. It's very important to have a degree. However, for my young people, if you are not ready for college, you will know that you're not ready for college yet, but it doesn't mean that you can't get into a good career, okay? And then decide later on where you want to go and what you want to do. I think that that's much more beneficial and a much better use of your time and your money to get into something later on to get back into college. But if you are just out of high school and you don't want to go to college, you can get into a career like medical coding and then build from there, okay? Because then later on you may decide, hey, I want to get a degree in business, or hey, I want to get a degree in health information management. I want to get a degree in health information technology. Then that's when it's going to be much more a better use of your degree and your money, because again, a lot of times people get degrees and then they do nothing with it. Oh, I got a degree in literature, or I got a degree in history. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? If you don't actually go into teaching, what will you do with it? Okay, you need to do something that's going to make you money and get you out there, and you do not have to be in this chorus of people that is struggling with student loan debt and things like that. I have always said I will avoid student loan debt at all costs, because again, guys, you can find ways of raising this money. You can find ways of, getting into a job that will give you tuition reimbursement. So that way it's not such a heavy burden on you. I don't think that it's fair that there's people in their late 20s or early 30s or even in their early 20s that have heavy student loan debt. And for what? It's going to ruin your chances for getting approved for a lot of things if you're carrying around all of this debt, right? So, but that aside, I was watching this thing, so it's still on my mind, because the thing about it is this is such a great career. I got into this career field in medical coding because I was unemployed. I was at the workforce office, which if you go to your local workforce office, if you are, working in a minimum wage job, or maybe you are low income, you have the opportunity, sometimes if they have it available at the workforce office, to get involved with these programs. And I got involved with the WIA. It was WIA at the time. Now it's WIOA, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. They paid for my school. And now I'm telling you today how you can study on your own so you don't have to go through all of that, okay? But if you want to, check out your local workforce office and ask them about the WIOA program, okay? You can even Google it, okay? There's lots of information and articles about that. But you can totally study. We're in January. Today is January 1st. It is New Year's Day. So you can totally start this month and study the independent study that I totaled at the time. And it comes out to 11 months, okay, of worth of study. Now, how fast or how slow you go is entirely up to you. But the important thing is that you stay on task. Even if you feel like, okay, I need to take today off because I have a lot to do today, that's totally fine. But studying medical billing and coding can be done in as little as 3.5 hours per day for 5 days, and then 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. So I'll talk more about that here in a second, but let me get into the self-study, the syllabus. I'm going to include the syllabus in the description box below. I always include the independent study link for the syllabus in all of my videos. And when I do that, if you are going through a program, you feel like it's going too fast, maybe you are in a medical coding program, you can always use this to supplement your studies. But with that said, we're in January. The step 1 is your medical terminology. That's where you want to start. Medical terminology is absolutely critical for medical coders to know. And it is all about learning your prefixes, your suffixes, and your root words. And keep in mind, this is going to be an ongoing learning process. So even though the timeline here, the estimated timeline is 4 weeks, which is just a month, you can be incorporating this throughout your studies, as you go. But the concentrated part is just to get you started. This is just to start building your discipline. Again, 3.5 hours per day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunchtime, 30 minutes in the afternoon, and then 1 hour, 1 hour. And you got the rest of the day for yourself, okay? But doing it this way is going to help you to absorb this information, because trust me, if you try to go really, I'm doing 6 or 8 hours a day, you're going to burn yourself out quickly, and then you're going to completely forget about your goal. So don't do that, okay? I know what I'm telling you guys. And my independent study has helped so many people to be able to achieve their dreams of getting into medical coding. So listen to my advice, okay? But this one is to study. Step 1 is to study medical terminology. There's a workbook that I have listed here. It's the Amazon affiliate link. You do not have to use this particular workbook. You can go to the public library, okay? Guys, any medical terminology workbook will do. This is, again, just to get you your foundational knowledge. This is to get you to get that discipline of studying 3.5 hours per day and working through those sections, okay? If something, trips you up or, is confusing to you, just put a bookmark in it and then come back to it later on when you're not so stressed about it. But yes, start with your medical terminology. Visit your public library if you don't have the money for one of those workbooks. It's totally fine. But anyone will do. Medical terminology doesn't change. The basis of its prefixes, suffixes, and root words. And that's really what you want to study, because when you do study those, it'll help you to build the words, because then you know what the root word is. Okay, well, I know if I add itis, it means inflammation. So it's inflammation of whatever the root word is. And so that's how you start to learn, okay? So that's that one. And then I listed some medical dictionaries that I prefer. Again, guys, it can be any medical dictionary you want, okay? They're all going to have similar or all the same words. So the second step, step 2, is anatomy and physiology. And I also need to add on here the pathophysiology. That's what you want to start studying, okay? So pathophysiology, again, you're going to work through a workbook, and any workbook will do. Visit the public library, go on YouTube. There's a channel called Crash Course. It's 2 words, Crash Course. and they have anatomy and physiology. Now, if you want to have ambient learning, which means you're listening to it, that's a wonderful channel to listen to the playlists, okay, about anatomy and physiology. And they also have pathophysiology on there as well. So that's what you want to just listen to. You want to get into the habit of listening to medical terms and scenarios and things like that. That is a wonderful channel to start with. And again, also incorporating working through workbooks, okay, for anatomy and physiology, for pathophysiology as well. And again, I do have the workbook and the companion guide listed in the description box below. So that way you can work through it. The one I have for anatomy and physiology is the Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology, 8th edition. Okay. So you can get that book and then you can get the companion workbook, or you can try the public library and see if they have it in your area. Okay. And that way you can just work through that. And the estimated time is 8 weeks. So you can be working on that for 2 months. But again, if you're staying diligent and you're doing this and you're working the anatomy and physiology and the pathophysiology, you can work them simultaneously, okay? Maybe a few hours. You have 20 hours a week that you're studying. So if you want to do 10 hours with anatomy and physiology, 10 hours with pathophysiology, you will make it, okay? You will progress. And so just stick with that, and that's going to be your second and third thing down, okay? Good stuff. And then you have step 3, which is healthcare reimbursement, HIPAA, and the OIG, right? And this is another estimated of 8 weeks. So this is going to be like your technical side. This is going to be all of the, now you've got all your medical terminology and all that good stuff down. This is going to be about the laws and medical law and ethics and things like that. The basic stuff that we need to know, okay, about HIPAA and protecting private information, what to do if there's a breach and that kind of thing. There's all kinds of channels on YouTube about HIPAA. I don't have one that I particularly recommend because they all say the same, you know. So all you have to do is let your fingers do the walking. Or you can visit the CMS website, cms.gov, and you can start looking at the little search engine. You'll see a lot of things pop up when you put in HIPAA and OIG and things like that. So there's also recommended references here. The OIG website is here, the HHS website is here, and of course the CMS website. And there's in this website, there's going to be something that you're really going to like. But this you will start to really understand once you get into the coding. You can Google Medicare Learning Network, okay? Medicare Learning Network. There's a lot of references and resources. It talks about the global package when you're talking about CPT coding. There's a lot of other things about documentation. So that whole thing is something that you need to review and go over. And again, you have 8 weeks or 2 months to be looking through all of that stuff. And so again, it's a great resource. Don't get overwhelmed. You know, just take one thing at a time. And like I said, Medicare Learning Network, you'll have all the links that will show up, and all you have to do is just start with one. You don't have to start with all of them. Just start with one thing at a time, okay? Then we move on to the fun part. Now we start getting into the coding part. Now, here I have on step 4, ICD-10-CM, estimated 12 weeks. So you're going to be in this for 3 months. So the thing about studying ICD-10-CM, now, here's when you're going to start deciding, okay, this is the kind of certification I want to sit for, or this is the kind of certification I want to sit for. So you can visit ahima.org, ahima.org, or aapc.com, and you can see the credentials that they have listed. Now, I have always said you need one of these 4, just one. You do not need multiple, especially if you're in your first year. The CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials because it says that you have mastered inpatient coding or outpatient coding. Now, some of you are really ambitious and you'll say, yes, I've studied and I want to sit for this. By all means, you go right ahead. But I will tell you that it is the mastery for a reason, and it is very much sought after in the industry because it is a very difficult exam. Not trying to scare you. I only want you to be prepared. But this says that you know inpatient coding and outpatient coding. To know inpatient coding means that you understand ICD-10-CM, which is our diagnosis coding, ICD-10 PCS, which is the inpatient procedure coding, and of course that you understand CPT, right? Those are the three main ones that are covered when it comes to the coding on the CCS exam. So you know all of these, that's two different procedure codings that you understand that you're saying, plus you understand the diagnosis coding. So if you want to sit for that one, by all means, you go right ahead. But you can look at the AHIMA website to kind of see. But just know that that's what you have to know if you want to sit for the CCS. If you want to sit for the CCA, which is a Certified Coding Associate, this says you have that entry-level understanding. A lot of people still look for this credential. I know I had it for 13 years and I did wonderful with it, okay? Now, again, this says you have that entry-level knowledge, though, not the mastery, but you have the entry-level knowledge of inpatient coding and outpatient coding, okay? Again, that you know ICD-10-CM, ICD-10-PCS, and CPT, okay? This says you can do the two procedure codings, the two distinct procedure codings, and you can do the diagnosis coding, all right? And of course, all of these exams are going to cover reimbursement and HIPAA and all those other things too, so just keep that in mind. It's not only that. Then there's a CCSP, which is also with the American Health Information Management Association, and all of these are with the American Health Information Management Association, if I haven't already mentioned it. But the CCSP is a Certified Coding Specialist physician-based, and this says that you understand outpatient coding, okay? And so if you do decide to take the CCSP, you will have to know ICD-10-CM, which is a diagnosis coding, CPT, which is the procedures, and HCPCS, the HCPCS Level 2 coding. Now, HCPCS is just some of the procedures for some of the insurance companies, right? Or some of the government programs like Medicare. They have their colonoscopies in the HCPCS book. They also have a lot of like durable medical equipment like crutches and wheelchairs. They have the codes for those, okay? So if you have been studying that and you say, well, Blue, I don't really like to do ICD-10 PCS coding because it still kind of confuses me, and you just want to sit for the CCSP, that's totally fine. The CCSP is sought after everywhere as well, okay? Now, conversely, on the other side, if there's another association, which is the AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, they have their flagship credential, which is a CPC, the Certified Professional Coder. And if you have no experience in medical coding at all, you will have an apprentice status for the first 2 years, okay? So all you need is one of these four. Now the CPC, and if you have no experience, A, which is for the apprentice, and you'll have that for 2 years until you get your experience, then they'll remove it, okay? Or if you go through one of their programs and you take Practicoding and you complete it, then you'll get the full-fledged CPC before your 2 years are up, okay? But even still, guys, you can still get a job with a CPCA, all right? It's just a difference in the associations, and I will be doing that on a separate video. But that CPC says that you understand ICD-10-CM, CPT, and HCPCS as well, okay? It just depends, all right? The difference between the CPCA and the CCSP is a CCSP, you do not have to carry an apprentice status. There's nothing that you have to do to make any of that go away because it doesn't exist for the CCSP. You have a full-fledged CCSP when you sit and pass for that exam. Now, again, if you have that CPCA, you have to wait the 2 years, or you have to fulfill the requirements in order to have the accelerated removal, okay? Which means more money, okay? I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there, okay? So either one of these, any one of these four, you can sit for. But when you start studying your diagnosis coding, the only reason that I bring up the credentials right now is because now you're going to have to start studying for the ICD-10 PCS, and you can do these simultaneously if you want to. But like I said, if you look at it and you decide you don't want to do the ICD-10 PCS coding, then just stick with learning ICD-10-CM, and you can study that for the 12 weeks, right, or the 3 months, and that's going to give you a really good foundation. But like I said, if you are studying with for the CCS or the CCA, then you'll want to go ahead and incorporate that ICD-10 PCS learning as well. Now, I do have the workbooks here. The two workbooks that I recommend for all coders, no matter which certification that you're sitting for, is the ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS Coding Handbook with the answers. Now, if any of these credentials that you're sitting for, every single one of them is going to cover ICD-10-CM. However, if your exam does not need or cover ICD-10-PCS, you can certainly skip those questions in that book. But this book is the most comprehensive book. The ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS Coding Handbook with the answers. This is never an ad for them, but I love that book. It is the most comprehensively well-written, beginner-friendly, easy to understand, now I get it, coding book, okay? That is the best book. And when I first started recommending that book, it was $40. You could find it used for $40. You cannot find it used for $40 anymore. That book is like $150, but it is worth it. It is so freaking worth it, okay? And so think about this. You've had all these months that you've been doing all these other things. Again, you could check the public library and see if they have it. If you can find a 2025 version, that's great. If you can find a 2022 version, you could still use that to study, okay? Because some of the codes may have updated, but not all of them, okay? So like 85 to 90% of the book is going to still be the same, all right? And so that's something that you have to weigh for yourself, you know, whatever you want to do. But you're going to be studying that for the where do I go? You're going to be studying that for the 3 months, okay? Whether you decide to study just that diagnosis coding, or you want to go ahead and try your hand at the CCS or the CCA, and you said that you're going to go ahead and do those two simultaneously, you can work on them simultaneously, guys. And in that time, in those 3 months, you can start to build your foundational knowledge on those two subjects, and that will be better for you, okay? Any one of these four you can start with, okay? It's not about, oh, which one's going to pay me more. It's not about that. It's about what this credential says that you can do, okay? So that's going to be going on for 12 weeks. And then I say here, I listed the guidelines. Now, the CMS website is the one that has the guidelines. Now, the guidelines is going to be very important for you to read and repeat. Read and repeat. So you can download the guidelines for free, the 2025 version. Excuse me, you can download those for free. Read it, or you can listen to it. I have explained how to listen to it on other videos. I will not explain it again because I had one too many people be ungrateful with me. And so I said, never again. I will not explain it again. My other videos have that explanation. But you can listen to the guidelines, you can read the coding guidelines, and that is going to help with your foundational knowledge on the diagnosis coding. And that you do not skip. You need to either listen to them or you need to take the time to read them. Now, in the book, if you get the Optum coding books, which I will leave the prices for the current editions in the description box below. But if you are, because they're discounted on Optum, and that's the one I like. And not only that, these books, you can use them for any of these certification exams, okay? And so if you're going through your book, it's like 30 some odd pages for the guidelines. But if you're listening to them from the internet, from the CMS website, it's like 120 some odd pages. Now, don't panic. It's just the size of the font. That's all it is. And so that's why it's so different, you know. But the good thing about it is if you're reading it online, you can, you know, make it bigger, you know, if you need to. All right. Some people have told me the print is too small. Well, I mean, that's the industry. That's the book. That's the guidelines, you know, nothing you can really do about that. But moving right along, you do that for your 12 weeks. And you're going to work through that workbook, the ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS Coding Handbook with the answers. You're going to work through that. You're going to work through it in those 3 months. And believe me, if you are sticking with it and staying with it and working with it, you will make it through. And that will be plenty of time for you to, okay, I got this foundational knowledge of not just ICD-10-CM, but ICD-10-PCS as well, okay? Then we go into CPT, right? And the estimated time for that is another 12 weeks. So here we have read through all the guidelines and notes throughout the CPT manual, right? We all have to use the AMA or the American Medical Association CPT Professional Edition, okay? And that price is going to be in the description box below. It is also available on the Optum website, and it is at a discount, okay? But keep in mind, it's still over $100. That one will not go low like the other ones, but I just want you to know that. So you study that, and you work with, now get this, the CPC study guide. So the CPC study guide I recommend for my AHEMA test takers and of course for my AAPC test takers. So any one of these, you're going to study with the CPC study guide. Now, before you say, Blue, I'm not taking the CPC. I'm taking the CCS, or I'm taking the CCA, or I'm taking the CCSP. That's great and all and fine and well. But guess what, guys? We all use the same CPT code set. Every single one of us uses the same CPT code set. Now, AAPC did it right. I'm not a member of AAPC. They don't pay me. They don't, I don't advertise for them. But what I do is when I see something that is good and helpful for coders, oh, you better believe it. I will make sure that coders know. Doesn't matter who it comes from. Because I believe that it's already difficult enough for us out there as coders. We got people who don't understand what we do. We got people who assume that they know what we do and they have no idea, and they spread misinformation. So anytime I see anything that is beneficial to coders, whether it is an association or a book or any of these things, I'm going to come and tell y'all about it, because I think that that's only fair. And it's beneficial because it helps people to understand. Do I agree 100% with all of the answers in that CPC study guide? There's some that, actually, let me explain this one. There's some that I disagree with, but for the most part, 97% of it is on the money. It is really well written. So find yourself a CPC study guide and use that to help you study for the CPT side, okay? And that you're going to be doing for 12 weeks as well. And then here's some websites that I do have. So in addition to that, there's emuniversity.com. It has a free section to help you understand and learn evaluation and management, okay? Now, they do have a paid side and things like that, but I just recommend the free resource, all right? And then Just Coding. JustCoding.com. They have a free subscription and a paid subscription. If you sign up for the free subscription, which I 100% recommend, they do have 5 question coding quizzes, okay? They are multiple choice, but you can cover up the multiple choice answers and look up the codes yourself. And they have those practices for ICD-10-CM, for CPT, and for ICD-10 PCS coding. So this is a fantastic free resource that can help you to get that practice in, okay? So there's a lot that you can discover on that page, but justcoding.com, sign up for that free resource. Again, not a ad for them, but that is just a wonderful website for you to learn from, okay? And then I talk about that. And then step 6, which is the ICD-10 PCS, because I had to put it on there, but you can use that and run that concurrently if you're learning ICD-10-CM, okay? And so then you have your certification exam prep, which brings us to the end of November, okay? So all of these months added up, it came out to 11 months. So then if you are studying towards the end of November and you've picked the certification you want to sit for, okay? And you've looked at all the domains, everything that is saying that is going to be covered on this exam, and you've been practicing with the coding and practicing with the coding, and you are just ready. You've been doing the 20 hours consistently throughout the whole year, you will be ready. And you can be ready in as little as 2 weeks, and that's just practicing more with the workbooks or practicing in those areas that you didn't quite remember. Doing that, and then you schedule your exam, and then you'll be in December to take it. You'll be on your way. And you will be ready, guys. You will be ready. The only ones who get hung up and stuck and, oh no, I can't do it, I didn't know it, I'm lost. Those are the people who are not studying consistently for 20 hours per week. Doesn't matter if you have a full-time job. You can have a full-time job, you could be a full-time student, and you can still manage to squirrel in 20 hours per week, okay? For my high schoolers, all right? You're going to be thinking about your future, now is the time, okay? If you're a junior in high school, if you're a senior in high school, and you say this is something I want to do, Don't listen to all those other people and don't be announcing it to everybody on the internet, okay? You get in your own lane and you study and you focus. You don't worry about none of those other people. And you can talk to it about, of course, with your parents, but at the same time, let them know that you're doing this is for your future and it pays well, okay? And same thing for my retirees. If you say, well, I want to do this, and, my friends are thinking I'm nuts for going back to school, studying this on my own, it's not their life, it's yours. For my stay-at-home parents, your kids are getting bigger and you say, I want to do something. This is something that you can totally do, okay? And your kids are going to be watching you, and you're their role model. You are their role model, and they will be looking at you like, okay, they managed to stick with it all year, and now look, it's December 2025, and they're sitting for their certification, and guess what? They're going to pass because they studied and they did what they're supposed to. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. There's lots of videos on my YouTube channel talking about how to prepare and the study and the how to set up a study schedule and things like that. So if you need help, check out my videos. Trust me, it's all there. And with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all again. Bye.